called Abjata Khalif. It's a pleasure to be here. And first I will start by introducing myself and telling you more about myself. So you can know me very well before I give you a lecture. So I'm Abjata Khalif. I am a freelance journalist. I am based in Kenya. That is northern part of Kenya, which borders Kenya, which borders Somalia and Ethiopia. So it's quite a critical area, but away from it, I have been in business of journalism for now 9 years, and apart from that, apart from that 9 years of freelancing with various local media, international media, I have also been in the non-profit industry or non-profit sector for 6 years now, through various organizations, community organizations, working along the border area and working on regional, covering Somalia region, northern Kenya region, and southern Ethiopia region. Currently, I'm the executive director of Kenya Pastoralist Journalist Network, KPJN, Kenya Pastoralist Journalist Network. It is a regional community development media organization that uses community media, vernacular media, which broadcast in the vernacular language of community living in that region I have mentioned. And we address various cross-cutting issues, which I will mention in my presentation as I go down. Today, I'd like to share with you various issues and the sad situation in northern Kenya and the entire Horn of Africa, that is Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, up to down there in Djibouti. And that is climate change, conflict, famine, starvation, and other things that accompanies all that problem. For background information, community living in this region of Kenya, northern Kenya, southern central Somalia, and southern Ethiopia, most of them are pastoralist community. Majority of them are pastoralist community. Others practice agro-pastoralism, that is agriculture plus pastoralism. When I say pastoralism, I don't know, I hope you understand pastoralism, nomadism, looking after cattle, camel, goat, sheep, and that is their way of life. That's the economic mainstay, that's the economic benchmark. But away from it, this community, they have a tradition, the one I've mentioned, of moving from one area to another, looking for pasture, looking for water, and looking for salt lick for their livestock. And they have a habit of moving from one border area to another. To them, they don't know. To them, they have no boundary. They have no nationality, and they have no passport, because their passport, their boundary, the passport, the boundary, the border, and their nationality is pastoralism, because they are same people, and they move, they go around like that, following what I mentioned, the pasture and water. Now, these people, they are used to that life, and they normally move around to address or to run away from some problem, because the weather condition in that part of the world normally changes. So when they move like that, and they come from northern Kenya to southern central Somalia, they move because they know that from next month we will experience a dry spell. We will experience a dry period. There will be less pasture. There will be less water. There will be less salt lick. So now when they move to this other area, they know this other area These are the area. There are some areas which can accommodate them and their livestock. They can get those resources, and while they get these resources from this other side of the border, they will move also to southern Ethiopia, and they leave this area to get more stock, okay, and for that resources to be replenished. So they move to southern Ethiopia. They also stay there for another 2 months or 2.5 months. Then they come back again to northern Kenya. And when they come to northern Kenya now, they get the area they left, the dry area they left, has enough pasture, it has enough water, it has enough salt lick, which can take them for another 4 months, so that they start the long trek again. So it is a way of life. I personally, I was brought up in that way of life, and I have moved with my father's family from one area to another like that, going around. So it is a way of life, and I'm part of it. But this time around, the situation is different, as I'm talking to you. Why? First, there was no early warning. There was no early warning that what we will experience is not the normal drought. It is not the normal dry spell period. Okay? So there was no early warning to tell us that. So we just went, we trekked the normal traditional trekking along the border, going around. But when people from northern Kenya and southern Ethiopia, they met in southern central Somalia. Why? Because southern central Somalia has more rivers, which it drains into Indian Ocean. And there, the host community living in that region, they practice what is called agro-pastoralism, the one I mentioned ago, and they normally host this community from Kenya and from Ethiopia. So they hosted these two communities who ran away from the dry spell, thinking that they will stay there for another 3 months, then they go back to their country. But it could not happen. It was not so. And while they were in southern central Somalia, situation became worse. All the pasture was depleted. Animals started dying one by one. Camel, goat, sheep, donkey started going. Okay, the river, which was a source of livelihood for them in practicing agro-pastoralism, started drying up. And funny enough, the river dried up within 1.5 months. 1.5 months, too fast. What remained? The shallow wells and the boreholes. It started drying up. The shallow well went out. After the rivers went off, also the shallow well went off. Now they started depending on water boreholes, which goes a bit deeper down there. After another 25 days, the borehole went dry again. This community, who are the host community in southern central Somalia, as I mentioned ago, they normally practice what is called agro-pastoralism, agriculture and pastoralism. So they had some food stock in their grain store, which they harvested from November of last year up to early this year. Now they started depending on that food stock, and also giving it to their brothers and their sisters who came from Kenya and from Ethiopia. But that could not work. Why? The Al-Shabaab group, which controlled that big region, felt the heat of the changing climate and the climate crisis by doing one thing. They have a lot of militia to feed. And they were feeding these militias from some of the farms that they had along the river. And all their food store went dry, the Al-Shabaab. So what do? And they're the one who are controlling that region. They now imposed what is called food tax on this community. They said, okay, what you do? Every 1 week, you're supposed to give out a certain amount of grains from your store. If not, then you will be penalized, or you can even be killed, because it is jungle law which govern that region. So people now started giving out food on a weekly basis. After 1.5 months or 2 months, all the food store dried up. Now, the situation went from worse to a dangerous stage. There is no livestock, no water, no food. The temperature went from 37 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius. Scorching sun, hostile weather, hostile temperature. So it was hell on earth for people who are living in southern central Somalia. And the area now has a very huge population from both sides of the country, Kenya and Ethiopia. So the problem was, people now started opting for the way out of this problem. And the way out for this problem was to cross the border into Kenya, to seek for humanitarian assistance. And to seek for humanitarian assistance, you are far away from the border. It is almost 1,000 kilometers, others 500 kilometers, others 600 kilometers, others 2,000 kilometers away from Kenya-Somali border. And there is no proper infrastructure like road. There is no vehicle which move from this town of central Somalia to the border. What happens? Even these people who found themselves in that region and those who are living there, they trekked with their animal up to that area when the condition was good. But now condition is bad. What do they do? They have to use the same method that they used when they were coming, by trekking back to the Kenya-Somali border. By trekking to Kenya-Somali border, and by trekking to Kenya-Somali border, a challenge came up. Al-Shabaab said, you are not crossing the border. You must stay here with us. If it is dying, die here with us. Okay, why? Why are they doing so? They are doing so because they want humanitarian agencies, aid agencies, to bring food into Somalia. And if food is brought into Somalia, then they will grab the food from the dying population and use the food in feeding the armed militias. So that could not work, because people started dying, people falling and dying in those villages and those towns in southern central Somalia. And others who managed to escape that condom of Al-Shabaab, they started trekking along the border. Family of young girls, boys, mother, children, they started moving, elderly. And most of them, the unfortunate thing and the sad part of it is, when people covered almost 100 kilometers, because they were in stress and no food, no water, the temperature was hostile, people started dropping and dying on the way going. You see families walking, and you see a mother holding a baby, and if the boy of 5 years, 6 years, 7 years cannot walk anymore, the boy or the daughter, she is left behind, or he is left behind to die. Expectant mothers were left behind to die. They are left behind to die because it is survival for the fittest now. Those who are a bit okay, they are trying to save their life for tomorrow. They believe that, okay, even tomorrow is another day, they can make another family. But because it is not their choice. So, if you go right now to southern central Somalia, which is the epicenter and the theater of this humanitarian crisis, you will see human bones and fresh human body lying everywhere. And it is not covered by international media, because international media has no access into that region. Why? They fear Al-Shabaab. And it's true, Al-Shabaab will not allow them to cross into the to cross the border into that side. Al-Shabaab will not allow any camera to go into that region. Why? Because they think that you are on a spying mission. That's another problem. So that is the epicenter of the problem. The other challenge is those who made it and they came across near the Kenya-Somali border faced another challenge. Armed boys who are operating along the border, doing organized crimes, started attacking people and raping emaciated and weak women and girls. Okay? emaciated and weak. You know, they started attacking, raping, beating people, thinking that they are carrying money and other things. Apart from that, along the border, to the border, there was another problem of human-wildlife conflict. Human-wildlife conflict. There is wadok there, wadoks, there is hyena, and due to lack of water, lack of food, the temperature and everything, even the hyenas need to survive. The wadoks need to survive. What will they do? They need water. And they thought the group who are moving are carrying water. They came and attacked people who are moving, even killing others, leaving others with a mark in their body, thinking that they will get, a bottle of water or water which is in a jerrycan or something like that. So these are things that has never been witnessed. That region, the last time people witnessed such problem was in 1992. And 1992, yes, we agree there was a problem, but there was water. It never dried up. Okay? There was no this problem of people dropping and dying. Humanitarian aid came late, just like this time around. Yes, people lost their livestock, but not to this large scale as we are talking right now. So the situation right now is different. Apart from that, the region started experiencing strange diseases. Strange diseases. And these strange diseases is skin conditions. And these skin conditions, people are given lotion and they are given some other ointments and some other medicine to use. But it is not responding. It is not responding. It is strange. It has never been seen. And if they are given any treatment, it doesn't work. It does not respond. Okay? So we are getting strange diseases in the region. And apart from the strange diseases in the region, the disease which were there ago, like malaria, like pneumonia, okay, like tuberculosis and others, we are witnessing a new strain, a new strain of malaria, new strain of tuberculosis, new strain of, and if you are given for malaria, if you are given treatment, the normal treatment you used to receive from the health centers, dispensaries, local hospitals, and it used to cure malaria. For this time around, if you go there and you have malaria, and you're taken to health center or dispensary, and you're given either injection or the last line malaria treatment, which is called artemisinin, it doesn't work. It doesn't respond. Forcing now the medical people to put people on quinine, and even that quinine is not working. And it is now it's a subject of medical examination and investigation by Kenya Medical Research Institute and the Wellcome Trust of UK, who are there now doing some research to know what is this? Is it part of climate change? No. So they're trying to run out of it. So apart from that, all that boils up to climate change. It boils up to climate change. Because people used to depend on what is called primary rain and secondary rain. Primary rain is short rain. Secondary rain is long rain. That's according to our weather knowledge in that region. The traditional knowledge and the modern weather knowledge. Primary and secondary rain. And this year, the primary rain normally comes from from February. It ends end of March. That is almost 1.5 months or 2 months complete. But this year, the primary rain only came for 2 days. It only came for 2 days, and that is all. And that 2 days, it was not a big rain. It was shower. For some 2 hours, goodbye. Another day for 2 hours, goodbye. That is the primary rain, something we have never witnessed. Okay? Come to secondary rain. Secondary rain, which is meant now to boost livestock, to bring more pasture, to bring more water, to bring more salt lick, has not come up to now as I'm talking to you. No secondary rain, completely. So we don't know what's happening. Temperature has gone. The hostile temperature of 42 degrees Celsius from 37 and 36. So this thing boils up to climate change. It boils up to climate change. And the experts' view, because me personally, I'm not a climate change expert, but I'm a victim of climate change. And I'm a victim of climatic shocks. And we tried to talk to some experts. And they said, yes, this thing was coming. It was predicted late last year, that is 2010. It was predicted that this thing will come. There will be a worst drought, which will hit Horn of Africa, and it will be severe. It can cause worst humanitarian crisis, which has never been seen in that area or in that continent. And they said that they warned. They warned the national government of the affected nations. But the national government never did anything. That's why issue of governance comes to climate change. Okay? Issue of governance comes to climate change. It is the duty of the national government to give people timely weather information. This is happening, and this will affect your lifestyle. It will affect your livelihood, what you do. These are the measures you're supposed to undertake so that you can alleviate suffering, you can go away from suffering. You can also save your livelihood by doing ABCD, even by destocking. If you have a lot of camel or goat or sheep, you destock. And by destocking, the government comes with a program of destocking, a government support program. Even they can talk to donors, big nation, okay? And big nation can fund as part of their climate responsibility, because they are paying for the damages they are causing. They will fund, destock this livestock, and when the situation changes, the same money from the donors again is used to restock. Each family, it is known, they have destocked and they have lost 60 camels. They will be given 30 camels. That's half of what they lost, or half of what they destocked. And life will be the same. Life will be good. There will be no suffering. Livelihood will not be disrupted. Socio-economic activity will be intact. They couldn't, there was no, they never did it. They ignored it and they said, just leave it. That's the weather forecast. We don't care about it. Don't worry. The other thing they say, these people who are living in that region, they look after cattle, camel, and goat. Yeah? There are no big consequences to the national economy. Okay? So it was a disregard. It has happened. Now international community came in with millions and millions of dollars in terms of humanitarian assistance, emergency assistance, through various international agencies. And that money could have been used to mitigate this problem. So that is, lack of priority, even for the international development partners, international development practitioners, international government, Western government. So away from it, it has also climate change has contributed now to conflict, large-scale conflict. In northern Kenya, the pastoralist community, they have attitude of using arms, small arms, that is guns and other things, in protecting their livestock, in protecting their movement. When they go around, they move. But this time around, people are using that gun for crime because there is no livelihood. Climate change has converted conflict to be the only livelihood available in that region. So you see the danger of climate change and conflict. Right now, we are witnessing large-scale conflicts in that region. Large-scale, between community, between people, which is a very big problem. Away from that, it has disrupted the past peace-building efforts. The past peace-building effort took place from the time we got independence in 1963 up to date. All the achievement which has been achieved in terms of peace building and community reconciling has been disrupted, because now we are seeing large-scale conflict, and it needs now, it needs an intervention which should start from the scratch. Away from that, it has affected what is called mobile education. In northern Kenya, this community moving with their livestock, they have a unique system of education. And this unique system of education involves a camel carrying the teaching aids, the teaching aid. And this teaching aid is the chalk, the blackboard, cow dung. Now their chalk is cow dung. Yeah? Cow dung is used. They take cow dung. It is put into a plastic bag. It is crushed first. The cow dung is crushed. It is put into a plastic bag. Then they put water into that plastic bag. Then front here, yeah, they cut front here. They clear the ground because that is the best way the pastoralist children like. Yes, they have the blackboard and the chalk, but they don't prefer that one. They prefer this one. And now the ground is cleared like this. It's flattened. It's flattened like that. Then the plastic bag with the cow dung, because it's cut in front here, they put it down like that and they write A, B, C, D up to Z. So that's their blackboard, and that's how they learn. Okay, and that's how they learn. And most of them now, they have even gone to, personally, I've gone through that system. Okay, but from there I went to secondary school, which is managed by missionary. From there, university. So that is how we started. But that education right now is disrupted. There's no more education because there are no more children. In other words, even there are no more pastoral children as I'm talking to you. Yeah, those who have survived this problem or this ordeal, they are in refugee camp in northern Kenya. So coming back to the refugee camp in northern Kenya, which is holding the victims of this crisis. The refugee camp in northern Kenya right now is holding 560,000 people. 560,000 refugees. These 560,000 refugees, that refugee camp is supposed to hold only 90,000 people. It's supposed to hold only 90,000 people. But currently, it is holding 560,000 people. Imagine the sanitation challenge. Imagine the congestion challenge, because the camp are congested now. Imagine the health risk it poses and the disease outbreak that that congestion will pose. So it is a challenge away from all that. But away from it, there's a second disaster which wait to explode very soon, and it might explode by end of this month or by early end of this month or by early in November. And that problem is flash flood, which is another climatic shock. The first climatic shock I've given you is drought, starvation, famine. Now I'm giving you the second climatic shock, and that one is flash flood. Meteorological department are saying a very big rain will be registered in Ethiopia. Because as I said, we are in northern Kenya, southern central Somalia, and southern Ethiopia. It's just one region. But Ethiopia, southern Ethiopia is a bit raised. It is on highland. So that is where the big rain will be registered. And that big rain, there will be flood. They will be flooding from the highland up to the lowland. Northern Kenya and southern central Somalia are on lowland, and that one highland. That flooding will come down here. When it comes down here, when that flood reaches the lowland, the land is dry, hard and dry. The land is hard and dry. It cannot sip, it cannot take the water. What happens? It will come and sweep everything which is on that lowland. It will sweep the refugee camp. It will sweep the peri-urban settlement for those people who have ran away from other areas who are staying. So it will sweep all those areas. It will create more destruction. It will create more death. It will create a second humanitarian crisis. Right now, as we are talking, the national government and international government and international aid agencies are busy addressing the current problem of drought, acute and severe drought. Already their hands are full. If your hand is full, you can't, you know, you must address what is in your hand first, then you address another one. So that is the second calamity coming. And they are not prepared. There is no mitigation. And there is no water. So apart from that, I'm now going to international responsibility on climate change. You know very well that rich nations, they are the biggest polluter, and they are, you know, high emitters. And they know that is contributing to climate change. They use fossil fuel and others. And they are supposed to be responsible. Because if you are damaging, if you are in this room and you are if you are in this room and you know your presence in this room, if you are in this room and you know your presence in this room is affecting the, is it called the bubble? Yeah, if you are in this room and you know your presence in this room or your activity inside this room is affecting the bubble down there, then you must think twice, either to stop affecting the bubble or to leave this room, or to look for a way that, yes, you do your activity, but also you don't affect the bubble. Yeah, it is, you know, 2-way, or 3-way, or 4-way, or 5-way even. But they are not responsible. International community, especially Western and rich nations, they are not responsible. Okay? And they are not responsible because of one thing. We were in Copenhagen, the Climate of Parties Conference in Copenhagen on climate change. And all the poor nation and the rich nation, international civil society organization, African civil society organization, we all lobbied. We lobbied for an international binding climate change agreement, which will address various issues like climate financing. How will they finance their damage? At which tune? Each nation will give, you know, commitment of, you know, which type of commitment, how much, within which period. All the framework, you know, a framework was prepared, everything. It was very beautiful framework and that agreement. But the problem was China and America. China and America. Yeah? America, they are the biggest polluters. China, the same, the industries and everything. So they disrupted the whole thing. Right now, as I'm talking to you, we are going to Durban, South Africa, for the same conference which took place in Copenhagen is taking place in Durban, South Africa, this December. And this December, Obama is busy on re-election. Obama and his party, they are busy on re-election. Climate change and those other issues, none of their business. Okay? Those are any other business, in other words. To them and to his government right now, issue of climate change is any other business, A or B. It is not a priority right now, and people are dying. Okay? China is the same. China, you don't tell them to stop their, if you tell them to cut their emission and to do ABCD, then you are telling them to stop all their industries. Yeah? And by doing so, you are telling them that, you know, so it's a, you know, it's a an issue, it's a very challenging issue. And as they continue bringing all that problem, dilly-dallying, ignoring, going against any agreement that will be brought by other players, then that one is increasing suffering, is increasing trouble, and it is increasing more problem. But away from all that, it is one thing. The rich nation, they don't understand one thing. It is not only the poor nation who are suffering now. Even them, they are suffering. You have seen the Hurricane Katrinas and other things, and Hurricane Irines and other names, yeah, in America. Yeah, I think even flooding, some European nations, they have never witnessed, you know, flooding and other things, and they are witnessing it now. Why are they witnessing it? Have they asked themselves? Okay? So, even away from this flooding which has been witnessed in a rich nation, there are some other weather conditions, other weather vagaries, which might appear even in the rich nations. and it will cost them a lot. And if they could have been part of the solution, all that could not happen even in the rich nation. And as they continue ignoring everything, people in other regions of the world will continue dying. People will miss education. Their livelihood will be disrupted. The ecosystem, okay, will be inhabitable. So it's a very, very big problem. So the issue is, rich nations should be responsible. They should pay for their damage. This climate change is not an African problem. It's not a poor nation problem. It's a world problem which needs world solution. So apart from that, I think I've almost taken my 30 minutes, but I want to go very fast a bit. I want to take you down to other issues of development in Africa and the developing world. And one of it is injustice in the developing world. And this injustice is being perpetrated by the rich nation of the Western or the Western world, which believes in democracy, which is the cradle of human right, cradle of fairness, cradle of equality, okay, and all other names. And one of it is land grab. Right now, as we are talking right now, is a phenomenon or a new style whereby rich nations like China and Arab nations, they come down there in Africa, they acquire a huge chunk of land on wetland, water catchment areas, they plant the biofuel, which is meant for energy. You are planting biofuel, and people are missing something to eat. Are you serious? You are planting biofuel, okay? Or you are planting food which is used for energy. And there are people, their stomach which goes empty. Yeah? Yeah, that's a very big joke. Okay? And they're using which land? They're using African land. And the people living in that continent, they are going hungry. Others are dying because of hunger and starvation. Okay, apart from that, there is a multinational, and this one is very popular with Europe. Multinationals from Europe, they go there, they acquire a huge chunk of land. They plant cash crops like coffee. I know coffee is very popular. They plant coffee, tea. They export. They tell the government, listen, we are creating jobs. Give us tax holiday for 30 years or 30 years or 40 years. Okay, they're given tax holiday because all the governments in Africa, most of them, they are corrupt. They are corrupt, dictatorial, authoritative, okay, and orthodox regimes, okay. So they are given that land, they are given the tax holiday, they plant tea, they plant coffee, they plant other nuts like macadamia, other hazelnut, other nuts. All is brought to Europe. It is sold here. The money does not go back there to it's not injected in the economy of where these things are coming from. They are not paying tax to build that country, okay? And all their money is put in tax haven, tax haven or ABCD. So that on itself, it is another injustice which comes from Western world. Away from it, there is what is called trade justice. And this trade injustice is being perpetrated by European Union to all African countries. By saying, okay, what you do, you poor nations, open your market for us. You poor nations, open your market for us. But we rich nations will not open our market for the poor. Is that justice or injustice? You want to come and rob. You want to come and make profit on these poor people. And you, with the economic power, with the financial muscle, instead of opening up so that these people can come and trade here, fair trade. They come and do fair trade here, they make profit, they go back. And if you open up and they come and make fair trade, and they go back, this country and these people will not need aid from you. That one itself is enough for them. It will empower them. they don't need any aid from you. So what you do, you say one thing, okay, open up your market, you poor person, and I'll give you aid, number one, I'll give you grants, number two, and I'll give you bilateral assistance. If you check, they are giving aid to who? They are saying, okay, we have given billions of dollars to Kenya. Okay, you have given billions of dollars to Kenya, you have given it to who? You have not given it to health sector, you have not given it to human rights sector, you have not given it to governance, to community development, to market development, value chain, you have not given it. You have given that billions of dollars to a corrupt person who will pocket all that money. It's as if even the Western world want corruption to go on. In one hand, they are saying corruption is bad, but in one hand, yes, they want it to go on indirectly, because it's serving their interest. Okay, it's serving their interest, which is part of neo-colonialism. It is part of we are out of colonialism. Okay, but now we are back in neo-colonialism in terms of trade injustice. And if you check, this thing is perpetrated by EU. EU is even threatening African government. We are not giving you ABCD. They opened up some market for them. Okay, what you do, we can allow you to sell a certain product, and this certain product you are selling to Europe, we are giving you an yearly quota. This is your quota. Don't surpass this quota. And that quota is 0.00001. Okay? And then they say, okay, what you do, if you will not open your market, we will close this quota, no more. And what you do, we are cutting aid, no bilateral ABCD. So it is injustice. Okay? So away from that, the other one is arms industry. I talking about conflict here, climate change and conflict. Where is arms coming from? I want to ask you. We don't have arms factory in Africa. We don't know how to manufacture arms, but we are very good in using arms. Okay? And this thing is manufactured in Europe, Eastern Europe, and some other satellite state of former USSR. Okay? It is manufactured for who? It is not manufactured for European market. It's manufactured for African market. Which is the African market? People killing each other, people finishing each other. Then when they kill each other, you rush there and you offer humanitarian aid, humanitarian assistance. You start making noise. You even start saying, no, somebody should be brought to Hague. ICC, Hague. And while you know, this problem could have been solved by these factories which is producing all these arms. So it's as if they don't care. It is money. It's very big money. Arms industry is one of the biggest ones. Yeah? It's another injustice. If they close all these factories, if they control all these factories, I'm telling you, we will have less conflict in that part of the world. And that one will contribute to acceleration in terms of development and other things. Okay? So away from that, I think I've gone more than 30 minutes. And it's also good that I give you the floor. I also hear from you. I welcome any question, any concern, any suggestion, any idea as a way forward for what I've raised, and perspectives that you have, because I think most of you have media background, or you are pursuing it, or you are pursuing other fields like human rights and development issues. Yeah, so which is varied and wide. So I open the plenary and floor to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.